and your cousin who you owe money to in Orange County.
Yeah, I'll do more promotion for next week.
Yeah, do more promotion. Get it going, Dave. That's what we're bringing you in for. I'm dropping cash on you. You know what I mean? 20 here, 40 there. I'm trying to make it work. And it's all good. It's all good. But what a week it's been. Just a quick, it's Mike Young here, stories that need to be told. We're just getting our groove, going live. Got my man Dustin Harnish in the house, who we know. I met him at Goal. I'll get into that in a second. But, you know, we start picking up characters in our lives in LA, and you start meeting people. And, you know, you don't know where you're going to meet people at the gym, where you're going to make a new friend. Goal was our local spot. That's where we met Darnish.
Absolutely.
Dustin. Darnish, by the way. Good
nickname. D and Harnish mixed together. Darnish. I like it.
Darnish.
I'll take it.
So, met Dustin there. Didn't know. Knew he was an actor. Knew he was doing his voiceover stuff, but didn't know he was way into boxing. But in a minute, we'll get into boxing because that's my love and passion, boxing, and it's his as well. And not only do I know that from what you told me, but I saw him at the gym the other day, and he was in a Rocky Balboa plastic suit, trying to lose weight. So I know it's real. When you drape in plastic, you know it's real. Stock Tip Dave, strong morning. I'll recap what's going on. So
my little adventure on the way to the meeting.
Full adventure. So last week I told you we're trying to get my show Single Mike up and running. So I shot this little sizzle thing called Single Mike, 10-minute reel. Everybody watched it, really dug it. It's it's my little R-rated Seinfeld. I'm excited. So I had a meeting this morning. I knew about last week, but the meeting was this morning to kind of just like solidify what's going to happen with it and how we're going to shoot it and present it and blah, blah, blah. But I had Dave pick me up because you're unofficially my assistant that I call. But he shows up, I hand him a 20. And I figure, you know what, I'm going to take Dave because Dave's like a good character that could potentially, even if it's not you playing you, it might be you. We'll see what's up. But Dave's like a good character that you meet in L.A. So I figure maybe I'll take Dave into the meeting. It'll be his first real meeting, like a development meeting. But Dave picks me up, and he's wearing pajamas that are checkered, and he's wearing dress shoes.
So he didn't go to the meeting.
I couldn't find my shoes.
Shut him right down.
Yeah.
Dave, you're not going to the meeting. But he's like, listen, I promise you, I could 100%, I could definitely go into Target and buy some jeans right now. Just please, I know I'll be on time. Bottom line is, I had him drop me off because I don't like to be late at all to meetings, but I was actually early. Dave came back with a pair of dope ripped jeans that you got on sale from somewhere.
Still wearing them.
Still rocking them. Dave's got new ripped, cool, casual jeans that he bought. Tried to make the meeting, but I figured since there was one person in the meeting who I was just meeting for the first time, I'm not bringing Dave into the meeting. So Dave chilled out. It was at Henson Studios where Jim Henson did all his Muppets.
I did make it in time.
You totally made it on time. And the meeting went great without you, even though you were down the hall sitting in a corner in somebody else's office by yourself. But it was all good. But just I like to give a quick recap on like what was last week and now where we're at. So I was talking about the book deal. You know, I'm doing this White Boy Rick. I don't know, Dustin, if you've ever heard of White Boy Rick.
Sure, yeah.
So White Boy Rick, they shot a movie starring Matthew McConaughey. They shot the movie. It's in the can, and HarperCollins wants to hire me to write the book. About his life, and it's very cool. And so I'm already in motion writing. I'll just be honest. I could talk about it now, but I'm already 5 chapters in, and I really wasn't allowed to say too much about it because it's just a temperamental thing, and they want to rush the book because the movie comes out in the summer. And every week I talk to Rick. You know, he's been locked up now almost 30 years, and I talk to him probably 3-4 times a week. And it's heavy shit, man. And it's like it's so crazy when you're a comedian and like more than half your life is about making people laugh and like joking about things. And then you got a buddy that's been locked up for 30 years, and there's not a lot of laughter going on when you're locked up for 30 years. It's no bullshit. You know what I mean? This is like, they threw away the key on this guy. Thank God he's going to get out in a year, but they gave him life. And, you know, me, the comedian in me never stops. So sometimes I'll try to crack a joke and like at least get him to laugh, but he's not really flowing with the laughs. Every now and then he'll laugh. And I don't know if you ever had a friend in jail or anyone you know in prison, but like, it's real. It's serious. It's like we could joke about it and talk about it. And I always see comedians, like I even saw Martin Lawrence talk about like he's got a cousin, and you know, his joke was that like, you know, brothers, if you're out there, you know, we know somebody in jail. Well, you know, I'm not black, but I have a friend in jail, a couple of them. but this one in particular, it's been heavy because I want to get the book right out of respect for what he's been through. And so, like, we still have to kind of communicate a little bit with a code. But that being said, we're in motion. I turned in 3 chapters to the company last week, and I bring it up because I just got an email that the editor, he sent me back his edits. And one of the nightmares of a book situation, unless you're Stephen King, you're not going to get red line copies of an edit. But like for my brain, I get back like these paragraphs with like marks and red and blue and like cut this sentence but move it. It's like, I want to say, yo, bro, don't do that shit with me. Like, I know how my boy talks, and I know I know the facts, and it's a memoir written in his voice, first person. So let it roll. Like, let the dialogue roll. Don't be crafty.
So they're editing down the dialogue. They want less curse words, kind of stuff like that.
It's not even the curse words. It's like, and listen, by the way, the way my boy talks, he is a little not redundant, but he like goes stream of consciousness a lot. So I wanted to, the same way Iceberg Slim wrote Pimp in his own language that is very specific to his world, I wanted to honor that for Rick, who speaks he's got his own way of talking. And so the first edit that came back was like chopping up his way of talking. And I can't allow that for the book. Like, it can't be like that. It has to be, like he says things like, like, hey, bro, to be honest with you and just to be real, he'll, say something that's redundant.
Really, yeah.
But if you're going to dive in and feel someone's voice, you got to honor that and like go with it. So too bad for the editor. I'm sorry, but this is a character.
And people will relate to that because, there's a lot of people in society that speak like that. And that's what they familiarize with.
Exactly.
So
it's so funny because it's like this business is so interesting because if you're not, and I don't mean in the streets, like in the streets, but like even just me being out and about all the time at the comedy clubs, on the patio, hanging out, getting to know people, feeling what's going on, you start to realize why so many executives are out of touch with things. They're not in the streets. They're not living a life. They're not living these full lives. And by the way, why would they? They got families. They got things to do. They got, real job. Their job is their job. And I'm not knocking them. And a lot of them are great high-level thinkers, no doubt. But some of the shit that, like the gritty stuff and like the real detailed stuff, they're not going to get because it doesn't even connect with them.
Well, that's our job. As the artists, we get in there, we watch people every day. We build bridges. We listen to our relationships, the people that are close to us. We talk to the people out there, and they have a voice.
Yeah. Actually, I'm sorry, but if you speak that way, it sounds better. I don't know if you could.
Right here? Oh, yeah.
Just keep it in front of you. Just boom. So you, boom, there you go.
Boom.
My bad.
All right. Yeah, but it's that's our job. The artist, the writer, to get in, the director, as yourself is. You get in there and you have a vision. You want to bring clarity and truth to the picture and tell it like it is.
The visuals are important.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You got to paint that picture. And sometimes you'll just get those notes back from someone that's just like chopping up the picture.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's part of the game. And the game's changing, believe it or not. The game is changing. And artists with business savvy minds are starting to get more power and more control, which is a beautiful thing. And like we had that meeting this morning, and they were just like two super cool executive people. Like, yo, you don't meet these type of people. Like, they were like, go with your vision. We're with you on this. Like, I want to give you your space. I was like, holy shit, is this real?
Did you tell them about the podcast?
They know about the podcast, but I didn't tell them we didn't talk about it this morning because for the show, like the show is going to be based on my life and my friend. It's my R-rated Seinfeld is what it is. But it's a group of guys that also play in a hockey league together because I play in a hockey league.
Okay.
And it's kind of how like men's league or leagues, adult leagues, they are the great equalizers for people. So if you are the grip on a movie, but you're the best on my hockey team, you are the man.
Yeah.
But if you are Oscar-winning director, you know what I mean, and you're on my hockey team, but you can't play hockey too good, you ain't shit at hockey.
You're out. Yeah.
You're on the bench. Sorry, bro. I know you could probably, give everyone a job in your movies, and you won an Oscar and you're dope at directing and you're incredible. But if you don't help us get the championship, you're out, bro.
You're there to play hockey.
I
You're
can,
there
be,
to play
I can
hockey.
be your enforcer. I'm a big intimidating presence.
Yeah, you are. You are. 5'0", 5 feet, 106 pounds.
I'll tell you what,
Hey.
though. I'm going to teach this kid how to punch.
Teach him how to
We're going
punch.
to teach him how to punch, and he will be a bad man.
Hey,
We're gonna put you in the ring with Connolly when it's all over. I don't even want Connolly to get involved.
Connolly's tough, man.
I know he'll hear this.
I
And go,
got-
Young, don't even say that. I'll punch him in the shoulder. I'll end his life. Don't even do it. Connolly is very tough.
I got the
He
fist
is
of
tough.
fury that I'm famous for.
Yes, but we're gonna teach you how to throw a real punch.
Yeah.
So that's the book recap and the little TV recap that I was talking about from last week. But more importantly, we got my man Dustin here, and like we always go to Goal, and that was our local sports bar, and they're under renovation or something. We don't know what's going on right now, but we've made a lot of relationships in that place. And stock tip, Dave we met at Goal, and Dustin we met at Goal, and you never know how you're gonna connect. But Dustin is been out here in LA for a while, and he's asked to come on the podcast a couple times. And I'm a boxing fanatic, and my family was involved in boxing since I was a kid. And he said he was into boxing and he wanted to come talk boxing. And I was like, you know what, bro? If you really want to talk boxing, let's talk boxing. So what is your background in your background's in more kickboxing or started in boxing?
Started in boxing. Yeah, when I was a kid going to school, I was an only child, and I was kind of husky. I was playing on the football team and that's where I got the bag suit idea from. Was my grandpa was a boxing trainer.
Yeah.
And he was a big Portuguese man, and all his sons were boxers, and they're all badass dudes. And they used to tell me, Dustin, don't be such a pussy. Don't let these guys, fucking slap you on the way home.
Yeah.
Stop getting your ass kicked.
Yeah.
Right. And it really rung a bell for me because it was knocking down and demoralizing my self-confidence. It was my morale altogether. Just all of that, your physical, your cardio, your everything.
So this all came from getting bullied.
It came from getting bullied.
Oh, damn, this is about to become a whole new podcast. I'm with you. Keep rolling. I like it.
Well, the thing is,
let's
look, when I'm totally not a fighter, if you understand what that means. I can fight, and I've been in many street fights. I'm not proud of that, but I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover first. My thing is, when you learn how to fight, when you learn whether it's boxing or mixed martial arts or any type of specific art, the number one thing it teaches you is how to discipline yourself and be humble. It teaches you how to not go into the fire. It teaches you how to calmly talk things down with using your biggest tool first, your mouth.
Yeah.
If you can do that, intelligently.
Yeah, I've never been good at that.
Well, the thing is
It's crazy.
It's empathizing, right?
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I've been faced off with bullies before when I was in school. And I remember one time this guy was just an asswipe. He's a big fucking dude, and he wanted to just crush me all the time. I couldn't tell you even why. And he came up to me in front of everybody, and he called me some names. I don't even remember. It doesn't matter. But he shoved me. And first of all, if you're going to deck someone, you don't shove them first. You just fucking hit them.
Yeah.
And I saw something going on in here, in the lenses. And for me, I've always been really sensitive to people. I don't know, maybe it's just my background and sensitivity with, people and connection. I care about that, though. And I looked at this guy and I said, what's going on with you, man?
Yeah.
Is everything cool? Are you all right at
knock him
home?
out?
Are you all right at home? I did later. Well, only because he sucker punched me, but I'll get to that in a second. My thing is that this big, brooding, hulking guy wanted to just pound me down to salt for no bloody reason. So my thing is instead of just, yeah, fuck you, let's fight, because why? There's never a reason for that.
Get him with an uppercut?
My thing was like, what's going on with you, man? And it kind of like dropped his defense. His offense sort of turned into more of a, he went into airplane mode. He didn't know what to do.
He was ready to cry and think about his dad beating him at home, and that's why he was taking it on
because
you.
something like that clearly was happening with this guy. And that's why those bullies come out and hunt you down, because they're really trying to get their own feelings back. They're trying to put their own hate and their own sadness and their own just self-deprecating crap on you because it makes them feel better.
I agree.
So in reality, being a good person, being a good just person in general, having soul, you should be able to recognize that and see when someone's feeling hurt, someone's fucking up in their life, and they're just taking it out on you because you're in the way. And I think as human beings, before we ever learn how to box, before we ever learn how to do anything, we got to learn how to be with each other first, because we share things with each other. We need each other. You know, even in a fight, you watch this ring. It's a dance. It's a back and forth. It's an exchange. It's a throw the ball, catch the ball, eat my fist, you eat my fist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's boom, a good one. I'm going to step to the left. You're constantly figuring out the other guy and watching his body language, his hips, his eyes. He's playing with your head. You know?
Totally.
So
boxing is so psychological.
It's a connection.
Yeah.
It really is a dance. It's a connection at the end of the day, and it's no different than when you're about to get jumped, or you're facing off with a guy that thought you might have looked at his woman. Anything like that, it's a connection instantly, and it's up to you what you choose to do with that.
I couldn't agree more. I've been in too many fights in my life to disagree. I wish there were so many times where I wish I had the verbal skills to like not go into anger, fisticuff mode, but I didn't have the capacity. I just didn't have the middle ground talking ability. I would just say, like, I almost wanted to write a bit about it last week, actually, because I was like, when I was younger and I would get angry, I didn't make sense when I was talking. I would just be like, oh, fuck your foot.
Yeah.
You just say some crazy, you know what I mean? You just don't have it, which is so ironic that that I'm a comedian and I talk for a living, but I didn't have that middle, that I couldn't talk while angry or scared. And it's funny, man, because I kind of probably came into boxing the same way you did, and this, you never know where these podcasts are going to go, but like, I was bullied by a beast in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. My uncles were both professional boxers. My dad was scrappy and street. My dad was a street guy, and it got to the point where every day coming home, this dude though was 17 when I was 10, so he was a man. And he would smack the shit out of me, smack me off my bike, boom, knock me down, kick me on a daily basis. Now, we were like the only Jewish family in the neighborhood, and this was like some next level white trash type of shit. This was like white boys with guns and leather jackets.
Like O'Doyle rules?
Damn.
Yeah, like Boondock Saint type of dudes. Like these dudes were like leather jackets. I remember seeing a guy pull a gun when there was like a fight near the middle school. Like they were on some different level of low income, we hate everyone type of shit. And it was you don't know that when you're there, but looking back now I know what it was. It was, whether they hated me because they hated themselves, or it was just low income, white trash type of dude who was whooping my ass. Like his boys would have like quarter sticks of dynamite and they'd blow them off like in the streets. And
my question is, where are the parents?
He didn't have a parent. Well, you're not even going to believe this, but like he had I remember seeing his dad. And I remember his dad being real old, like for a dad with a 17-year-old. I remember his dad looked gray hair, like looked old. And it could have been his grandfather, truthfully. He might not even have had a dad. But this dude, I would come in crying on a weekly basis to the point where, my dad had friends that were bad guys. They're tough guys. And this is a true story. But finally, I came in for like the last time, because physically there was nothing I could do to this dude at 10 years old for 17.
No.
Nothing I had could work.
He's a man already.
He's a full man, and he was fat and a fat ass. And he was just, his heavy-handed, I just remember getting smacked all the time. So finally, I run inside. I'm crying again for the 20th time this year. And I'm about to say what happened again, and I just see my dad run past me. And I look, all I see is my dad's back, and I just look, and the kid's in the middle of the street with his boy, and I just see from the behind, my dad is throwing punches like bam, 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 bam. I just see like 15 punches on this kid, and my dad just basically beat him all the way into his house.
Damn.
Beat him into his house. His boy didn't do shit.
You just Sugar Ray'd his ass.
He Sugar Ray'd his ass, and I knew my dad was not he wasn't like a fighter. He, when I was growing up, he just was tough, and I knew that. But he never beat me up, or he smacked me in the head once. But he whoops his ass, and then next thing I know, my dad used to work at this all men's health club that was mob connected, and I'm not kidding. And this is not proven that this is why he moved. But in the following week, there was a for sale sign on the guy's lawn, and that family moved.
Yeah.
And I never heard from him again.
Wow. Although
I have Googled his name.
Where is he?
Because I I wasn't able just to let it go like that. He like caused me so much torture as a kid that I literally have Googled him. He's in, guess where he is? Florida.
Florida of all places.
Where the rest of these motherfuckers go.
Florida.
Where in Florida
South
was he?
Florida.
What do you do down there?
You know what I mean?
Just
South Florida.
You live
But
down
that's-
there, yeah.
Hey, we had some bullies in my neighborhood, but not to that extent.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like
you
I
would
got
get
a bunch of stories I could tell.
Oh, me and Dave, we've got a script that we're writing about such things right now. Actually,
I'm 12 pages in. Forgive me for not finishing it. I've just been busy.
But
you know what I mean?
bullies, I mean, it's something we as guys can very much connect to.
Yeah.
And I think, look,
Hey, my own brother kicked me into a cactus. I've been shot in the back with a dart gun, shot in the foot with a pellet gun, all by my neighbor who thought it was funny just to shoot from close by with his little toys that he would always get.
Yeah, no, that's nothing cool about it. And bullies, and I don't know if they've done this TV show, but there needs to be like a Bully the Bully tour. Like
Oh,
get
the
Joe
Bully tour.
Rogan
Yeah.
and a gang of UFC dudes
Yeah.
and go on tour and bully the bullies.
Yeah.
Let's go get all the bullies in the
Yeah.
ring with guys that are, let's make sure the guys are smaller than them, but we'll just tear that ass up.
but you know what? You know what though? That would be a great idea. However, I don't think the effect on them would be the same that they had on us.
but Dustin-
Reason being is they're coming from such a dark place.
You should hear about how I learned to ride a bike. I lived
Let
on a
Dustin
hill.
finish his sentence.
They're coming from such a dark place, and I feel like that's pain and suffering. Otherwise, what is a human being doing that for? You're born this little guy or gal, right? And I don't know. Call me crazy, Mike, Dave, but I think we're all born good, and we decide to make choices in our life. Things happen.
I agree.
Life paints textures on you, right? And these guys, it starts from childhood, adolescence. They're beat up, they're raped, they're sexually molested. You know, God bless them. That's horrible. And then they start to make these choices to medicate the pain, just like a heroin addict shoots his arm with a needle. They shoot up the pain and they dump it on you, everybody else except themselves, because they can't deal with it.
True. I fully agree. I fully agree. I always said that. Like, I have gangster friends. I got friends that have gone to the dark side, and it comes from the pain of the childhood, straight up. There was no dad. There was a beating. You know what I mean? There was just,
Molesting.
There was
There's always-
neglect.
yeah.
I always said gangsters need a hug. You know what I mean? Some gangsters need a hug. Now, there are always exceptions. People who just had a good, fine life on the surface. But generally speaking, everybody's hurt. It's like the REM song. Everybody's hurt.
I've hugged a gangster.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the Valley was jokes. I used to know this Armenian gangster who swore he was a cholo. His name was actually Primo, but he would be like, "Hey bro, how you doing?" He was, "I'm Primo." You know, and he was the only cholo that wore like a sweatsuit, like a Puma sweatsuit, that suede one.
Hilarious. He was
All the
Armenian, but said that he was Mexican?
Armenian that tried to be like a Mexican cholo guy.
Yeah.
Right? And he was like, "Hey bro, how you doing?" You know, and it was kind of like, what the hell, this doesn't add up. His name shouldn't be Primo, you know what I mean? It's like, but that was his name. He drove a Camry. He was getting after it. You know, and I remember this guy used to stand on my street corner when I first moved to LA. It was the first place I got because I was homeless for 2 years, working, and finally I got this dumpy 1-bedroom in a house with a dog named Smokey that used to bite at my dick every day. I'd fly in, and there's flies fucking swinging around my head all the time, and I'd have to throw screwdrivers at Smokey to stop fucking jumping at my jugular and my ball sack. Anyway, I'd walk outside to have a smoke or something, and there's Primo right there. He's standing like crunk as fuck, like a cholo. He's doing his thing. He's G. You know what I mean? But he's pimp. He's got like his sweatsuit.
Is he selling on the corner?
Dude, he was just standing there. He was just kicking it. That was his hood right there. It was Beck Avenue in North Hollywood. I never knew this guy's real name, right? And I'd walk outside. He always showed me love. He had nothing but love. And one day he was going through some stuff, and he's like, "Bro, I just had guys came and like shot at me and like this stuff, and it's not, hey, bro, like essay, you know." I'm like, "Oh man," I'm like, "Come here, man, bring it in. So let's do this right now." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Just come on, let's bring it in. We're good, right?" 2 guys, right? Just a couple guys getting after it, just hugging, right? And he was cool with it. He gave me a hug, patted me on the back. He had a tear, you know, gangster with a tear. Gangsters get tears too.
Yeah, not even a tear tattoo, just a straight real tear.
Yeah, real tear. And I mean, I got a crazy story with that guy, but interesting, hugging the gangsters. It happens.
Gangsters need hugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If Suge Knight would have just been hugged more,
See, everybody needs
he'd
a
be
hug.
free.
Yeah.
That's why I love that old video that Judah Friedlander did for the Dave Matthews Band when he was going around hugging in the music video. Remember that? Do you remember that? Judah Friedlander, the comedian.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Long hair. There was a music video where he hugged everybody in the video. But listen, this could become a psychological thing, but I want to get into boxing because to me, there's no better metaphor for life than boxing.
Absolutely.
Know when to throw the jab in life, know when to attack in life, know when to sit back in life, know when to move in life, you know what I mean? Know when you got your opponent ready to get knocked out in life. You know what I mean? Just like in a business situation, boxing applies everywhere.
It does.
So the bullying and this and that, we on a psychological level, yes, everybody needs a hug. It comes from somewhere. But I got into boxing off that bully situation. My dad was like, yo, my boy Emmanuel Stewart is going to send some fighters to the gym where that I run, which was a health club, and they taught us boxing on a racquetball court. So me and my brother and my dad's boys' kids and a couple other kids got taught boxing and all the moves by professional fighters from the Kronk Boxing Gym in Detroit, one of the greatest gyms of all time. Over 14 world champions out of one gym. Emmanuel Stewart, greatest trainer of all time, was my dad's boy.
He's awesome.
And when I started boxing, I was already like a natural athlete, baseball and basketball and whatnot, so I took to it quickly. And my uncles, my two great uncles, Jerry and Morty, they were professional fighters. They both had over 50 fights out of Jersey and New York, and then ended up in Detroit. But boxing was already in the family, and I just fell in love with boxing.
I can see, man. You got that reach.
I got the reach,
Stick
but I
the
mean,
left out there.
To me, it's like you said, it's a dance. It's
Yeah.
a sweet dance. It's psychological. The craziest shit happens in boxing when you spar.
Yeah.
It's like some really crazy thing because I sparred with James Toney, the middleweight champion of the world.
Man.
This was 20
Best
years
counter
ago.
puncher of all time. Freddie Roach.
Yeah.
Love you too, man. He's a good friend of mine.
Before Freddie Roach had him, he was with Bill Miller, an old school trainer in Detroit. And so I was in the gym when I was 20 years old, maybe 20, I can't remember exactly, but like I was just working out in the gym, and James was getting ready to fight a title defense fight against Murky Sosa, this fighter from the 80s, 90s. And I was built like Murky Sosa. I didn't fight like him, but he was like just built my same height and weight. And so Bill Miller was like, yo, Mike, come on in the gym, get in with James. I had never sparred with a champion before. I had never sparred with anybody at that level in my life.
How long did you last?
I lasted 2.5 rounds. He didn't knock me out, but he wanted to knock me out. James is mean. He's very mean. He wasn't like a friendly dude like that.
He wears you down.
He knows me well. Like we know each other well from back in the day. Like he's cool with my mom. He knows my family.
That's
Did
awesome.
you get any good punches in?
I did. So what happened?
He's from Michigan.
Yeah, he's from Ann
Arbor, right?
Yeah, up in Ann Arbor. Then came down to Detroit, but never trained. Emmanuel didn't have him back then. He didn't go fight in Kronk. He fought in his own little Galaxy boxing gym, and Jackie Callan was his manager, who was friends with the family. Long story short is, I get in with James. I'm nervous as can be. Bill Miller was like, don't worry about it. He's just going to work his defense on you. He's not going to go heavy offense on you. Because I'd already seen James Toney knock out 20 sparring partners, yell at him, get out of the gym. Just a mean.
Mm-hmm.
And if I saw him today, we'd hug it out. But he knows what he is. James is a bad dude.
He is
don't
a bad
play
dude.
games. So I get in there and I'm moving around nervously and I'm just kind of feeling it out. And I think I'm gonna. And Bill Miller's like, "Yo, go offense on him." So I start throwing punches at James, and he's got that classic hide behind the shoulder defense.
Philly.
I could barely get to him, but when I get to him, I catch him a couple times in the face, you know what I mean? A couple headshots, and he launches out of his little cat-like stance and bam, bam, lands two solid jabs right on my lips.
Yeah.
And no joke, I started to taste blood that I think was coming from my brain because I wasn't bleeding, but I was tasting blood. So somewhere interior in my head, I was bleeding. And James just started going to town on me. So when he starts going to town on me, and I could leave the ring because I should leave the ring because I'm not in his class at all. But what happens is in boxing, something kicks in and you go, oh, wait, now I'm a man. And now you're whooping my ass and I'm a man. Now I got to relax and figure out how to get you. So all of a sudden, boom, now I relax a little more. James goes back on defense a little more. And now we're actually dancing, like you said.
Yeah.
And it felt great. it actually felt great. And I started catching him a little bit, going offense on his defense. And that was like my first moment of realizing this real heavy psychology, because I had already sparred 1,000 rounds with dudes that were not at his level. But when I got to his level, it was like it was more of a dance and a game. And I caught him a few good times, and he came back and tattooed me pretty much at will. And it was like, I didn't want to go 3 full rounds. I was looking to get out of there early, but I didn't want to be a punk at the gym. And so 2.5 rounds in, I kind of looked at Mr. Miller. Like, I was just like, I think that's enough.
Yeah.
He's had enough with me.
Yeah.
I'm not Murky Sosa.
Yeah.
Good luck, James. And I was also pissed at James because we knew each other. I was like, yo, you didn't have to really tag me like that. But I remember hitting him in the head and having the thought, this is what a champion's head feels like.
Yeah.
Because his head was like a 40-pound
Rock.
fucking bowling ball.
Yeah.
Was there any knockdowns?
No, I didn't go down. He didn't go down. No.
And think about it.
He could have knocked me
Yeah,
down.
he's probably just giving you like a good, cool 50%, 60% just working out with you
Since you guys are
playing.
big into boxing, so what do you think about Mayweather training for MMA? I think it's just going to be a slaughter.
That's a joke.
It's not going to happen.
That's a joke.
Not going to happen.
Look, it's a joke all across the board. I don't mind Conor stepping over to fight him in boxing. And I'll be honest, I think Conor has a very good boxing, skill set. He was a boxer before he was a mixed martial artist. But we all knew that what would happen in there. Floyd's obviously got the wind. He's got the lungs. He's got the miles on his feet. Now
he's a world champion, master of a sport, and
Yeah.
Conor's like a pretty good
decent.
boxer.
Yeah, but he's a world champion of his sport. When you cross paths like that, you're always going to get something interesting to watch. However, when you're going to go in and there's all this money on the line and you expect anything really crazy to come out of it, you're just asking for a letdown. It's just going to be the same song and dance. Floyd just going to work him and wear him down. Now,
Floyd wanted to keep that fight alive for the fans that paid the money.
sure,
it's the
and
opposite.
Conor tagged him a few times. I was waiting for the elbow to come in, maybe a high kick, just to play
So
some
if it's
jokes
with
with.
opposite rules, what do you think will happen?
It's not going to happen. It's not. I don't even want to get into it. It's not going to happen.
Floyd would get destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't want. Why would he want to risk his actual life?
His health, man. When you got dudes bouncing your head off the canvas, kicking you like doing these twirly kicks off a cage and just sticking your own foot up your own asshole. I mean, look, man, it wouldn't be good for him. I mean, he's a smart businessman. He knows he's not going to go in and do anything like that.
Floyd, yeah, exactly. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But Floyd will anger you because he's so good at his sport.
Mm-hmm.
And for years, nobody wanted to give it up to him because he makes a fight look boring.
Yep.
But he makes a fight look boring because he's so damn good.
He's just too good. Yeah.
No one can touch him. He made Pacquiao look stupid. He made Ricky Hatton look stupid.
And
He's made everybody. Shane Mosley. Everybody wants to say Shane Mosley caught him a couple times.
He actually hit him once pretty good.
He
Yeah.
did, but he didn't shake him. He didn't shake him. Nobody wants to talk about how strong pound for pound. Floyd Mayweather's strong. I'm 6'2", 185. Floyd's 5'6", 145. He's probably my same physical strength. Like, could probably put up more weight than me in the weight room. Like, he's a freak of nature. People don't ever want to say what he is. He's a freak of nature. You don't become world champion like that. It's like he's got another level of strength. It's not just his speed and craft and skill. Floyd's a beast. You can't knock him out.
The only guys I ever
and
saw.
I don't like him as I'm not like in love with Floyd as a person, but
Yeah.
his skill set is next level.
The only guys I ever saw that really got him and rung his bell were Zab Judah and Maidana. Actually, I mean, even Canelo. Canelo took some nice whacks at him, but
I was at the Maidana fight. I was at that fight, and if you go back and look at it again,
yeah, you glanced
Maidana,
it?
he glanced him. He barely. I mean, Floyd was never one time in trouble. Maidano's just a
No.
bull. He comes forward. It's
Yeah.
his style.
Yep.
He's awkward. He's
Head down, high
head
hooks.
down,
Yeah.
big. Throws wide looping punches,
Mm-hmm.
but was never gonna mess. Didn't even shake
No.
Floyd up. Floyd hides in the pocket and he comes out like a cobra.
Yeah.
And he wants to snake you.
Mike, that Philly shell defense, that it's Tony used to use it as well. It's what I like to use. In my opinion, there's just no sounder defense. I think Mike Tyson played the peekaboo really well because his explosive movement the way he can move his head in and out like this,
Right.
and he can come around with
got a
that
good
with that
impression of
pivot.
him.
Yeah. Oh no, I've heard it. Yeah, it's really good.
I'm the greatest fighter of all time. Anything else is unskilligated. I don't even want to talk about this. I'll make you my lover. I'll make you my girl.
I'll eat your babies.
Stock tip Dave, don't even tell me what's going on.
I've been to a few Tyson fights. You ever been to a heavyweight championship fight?
No.
We got to get you to a heavyweight championship fight. So, growing up,
love that.
Seen him on TV.
because my dad was tight with Emmanuel, and my dad's other friend, good friend, Freddie Lorenz, was the doctor for Kronk, we went to a lot of fights. As a kid, I was able to go like 12 years old to go see
awesome.
championship boxing in Las Vegas.
So inspirational.
So I was lucky. I was born in the right family. You know what I mean? For that. And me and my brother, there was one year, and I want to ask you who your favorite fighter is, because it'll be telling of who you are.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Okay. So that. Well, yeah. It's mine too.
I'll tell you why. Well, once you finish your
Yeah,
sentence.
but I was just gonna say, like 10 years old, 12 years old, me and my brother are in a 4-bedroom suite in Caesar's Palace, and me and my brother are in one room. Emmanuel Stewart stays in the other room. Tommy Hearns, the hitman Hearns, is in an upper room, and at the time, a kid named Oba Carr, who was on his way to becoming a world champion, and unfortunately Oba suffered some brain injury and he's not in great shape right now. But Oba was in another room, and so we were just in the mix of boxing, when boxing, in my opinion, was in its greatest time. Hearns Hagler, Hearns
Oh my
Leonard,
God.
Hearns Duran,
Yeah.
Leonard, you know what I mean?
remember all
Hearns.
that.
Hearns was a
Arguello,
bad dude.
Pryor. Hearns was a bad
He
dude,
was
bro.
bad, dude.
Yo, I went to high school with his brothers.
And the crazy thing about him is the size of that man.
6'2".
6'1", 6'2", and he was he fought at 147.
Yep.
It's welterweight status, man.
I was too young, but my dad had all those on TV.
And he fought dudes that were naturally sitting heavier than he, but he played his length so well, and he had just such a crashing right, man. It was nasty. His jab was beautiful too.
That was Emmanuel Stewart teaching him how to throw a right hand. Dave, we're going to teach you how to throw a right, bro. You're going to put all 112 pounds behind a right hand.
You got to watch the Marvin Hagler versus Tommy Hearns fight, the first one.
You said wild looping. What was that? You said wild.
What you're
looping
doing
shit?
is looping. There's no boxing is about turning your body into a whip and using every ounce of your weight
See,
behind your punch. And it clicks in after years of training, where you finally realize, oh, everything is behind this, but it takes time. You're not going to learn it today.
See, right now, all I can picture is the scene of Will Smith making fun of George Foreman and Ali, where he's like making fun of his punching, going like this.
Yeah, because that was Foreman's looping kind of style, but Foreman was a beast and was a champion at 52 years old. He won the championship again.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
I really do think the way I look at boxing is the dance of life, and in all aspects, because it teaches you that you have to fight for things that matter. It teaches you how to get up when you get knocked down. It teaches you how to deal with pain and transform pain into positive energy. It teaches you how to make yourself from mush into this solid stone. And that it teaches you how to become a fledgling into a full-grown adult, to walk through life and actually accomplish something, because you're going to get knocked down. You're going to get hit really hard. And like he says in Rocky, right? Sly says in Rocky, it's not how hard you can hit. It's how hard you can get hit and get back up and keep going forward. That's the thing. Boxing is that, and that translates in to every aspect of life for not just a man but a woman too. You're born with a family. Some people are born alone. Some people end up alone. Some people end up with all these loved ones and family. The fact of the matter is you stand alone in terms of the decisions and the choices you make on how you want to live your life and what you want to do with that, and not letting anything knock you down or deter you.
Do you think there's a reason that some of the greatest films are about boxers? And I don't want this to become like a boxing versus MMA thing, but to me, I've studied boxing forever. I've studied the characters in boxing. I've written stories about boxers. I know plenty of boxers. Their lives are so much richer in character and desperation and coming from dirt to become something, a diamond. Their lives are much richer than any of these UFC guys that are, and I'm not saying maybe it's because they were born with some money. Most UFC guys usually didn't come from the hood, and I'm sure some have, but like for the most part, boxing characters are boxers have way deeper stories. And
Yes.
I could tell you stories that the great Emmanuel Stewart, rest in peace, told me about fighters that will blow your mind.
I believe
You
it.
just remind me of like the Cinderella Man story.
Yeah.
The real Jim Braddock story.
Yeah, great story.
Well, look,
amazing.
I couldn't, and call this cliche, but I couldn't even have come to Hollywood and tried to be an actor and try to be successful in a business as so hard as it is if I hadn't learned the rudiments and the fundamentals of boxing and getting my ass kicked first. Because this town will kick your ass if you let it. It will chew you up and spit you out. It's a great town. It's beautiful. It's full of endless possibilities. However, if you're not a warrior and you don't have the heart of a lion, which boxing will very much teach you,
Absolutely.
then you're just going to pack up and go home after a year like everybody else.
Yep.
But I think that, having to sleep in my car for a couple years, having to work all these dead-end jobs, getting told no all the time, there's just endless amounts of pushback, and you have to be willing to stand through all of that. You have to be willing to stand up to the dragon and punch him right in the face.
Take it on the chin. Get back up.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you slept in your car just because you were like, I'm coming out here to make it as an actor. I don't care if I have a dime in my pocket. I'm going for it. Like, that was your passion, was that deep?
I was actually a musician originally. I play the drums. See, I love to hit things. I love using
The theme is hitting.
I love using my hands.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was always, shut up, Dustin. I'm making sounds, noises. I'm tapping stuff. I'm dinging it on pots and pans.
Disruptive.
Make him do a rhythm and then you rap to it.
I can easily do that for you. But that was the thing. I came out for music, and I always wanted to get into acting. What got me into it was my grandparents took me to see The Phantom of the Opera when I was about 9 years old. And I always watched movies. I had to sneak downstairs to watch movies all the time. And when I went and saw that play, it was a musical actually, because music and then human connection, bouncing moments off of each other, good writing, all that, it connected for me. And I saw something that gave me goosebumps, and I wanted to do that. And so when I got to LA, my band broke up, all this crap happened. These guys were doing a bunch of drugs, and it was just a mess. And we were doing okay as a band, and I'm just thinking, I need to be doing something else. And I started doing extra work, which is how I met Kevin Connolly.
Oh, I didn't know
I worked
that.
on Entourage for like a season and a half back with the Aquaman parts of the
Oh, damn.
series, and then now, fast forward 9-10 years later, and
God, I had fun with some extras in Entourage. # me too, bro.
yeah, it's just and now, but it's the cool thing is that all of those times taught me things, and I've made really interesting relationships and met people that others would die to meet, and I'm lucky that way here. And I think what kept me alive was just remembering where my heart's at, and every time you get knocked down by life, it's not a pity party. You just get back up and you keep going and you stay true to yourself. You don't burn anybody. Don't treat anybody like you think you've been treated unfairly or like someone owes you anything, because they don't. Just use the boxing mentality. You get knocked down, you get back up, you shake it off, take a little water, right?
Be humble.
You just learn something different. You learn how to articulate. You learn how to create more of a refined character in yourself. And that happens only over wisdom and time.
Were you able? So all right, we got it. Boxing is the great metaphor for life. This town will beat you up. What everybody loses focus on in this town so quickly, because it's all flashy BS around here, is that they forget about the work. And the work is what's important, and that's all that matters is the work. It really is. It's because if you ain't putting in the work, then you're not going to live the fun life.
Yeah, it's not going to just come on your doorstep.
Right. And by the way, I feel like I've almost had to work not twice as hard, but like my social life got big before my professional life was going. You know what I mean? I was successful socially, being friends with Connolly and Leo and going out. I was going out at the highest level you can go have fun at before I even had a deal at a network. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to really understand, like my brain was really on like, I need to get to work. But I'm not going to say no to Vegas on a private plane. You know what I mean? I will not say, because that is part of the dream.
Bring that
I will
laptop
not
with you.
Exactly, and I will not say no. And by the way, my boys used to see me all the time, and I'd always be having like before I took notes in my phone, I would have a pen and like a little tiny notebook always with me. And my boys, they were always like, "What's wrong with you, bro? You're always like writing weird shit."
Mike-
I'd be
Well, I
writing
can
jokes.
tell about you, Mike, that your thing is, I've listened to your podcast before, and the way you set up your comedy career very much sounds like it also stems from a boxing background, because you're always writing, you're always performing for people that'll listen. You're getting your lines out, getting your reps in.
Yeah,
And that's why you're touring with Bob Saget now.
yeah. You got to get the reps in. There's
work.
The work. It's all. By the way, what you're gonna look back on is you're gonna go. The work was the fun. That was the fun. Like I always tell everybody, like when I had that Young American Comedy Tour, the fun of that was set up a photo shoot, do the marketing, struggle. We were struggling to like get on, and then you get on there and you start grooving, and you're like, yo, the fun was picking out photos, and you love the grind, man. Love
like
the
the
grind.
story-
Life's a grind.
The story I
Gotta
heard
love
about the
grind.
South Park creators, they spent all 4 years in college just sitting there writing every episode of South Park in college. They didn't party, they didn't do anything. They just sat in the room and wrote South Park for 4 years, and they were like, laugh now, but we'll be laughing later.
What is the documentary about those guys that I can't have you heard about that? Like
It was
6
on
days
it
till
was
show?
on Netflix or something for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like 6 days to air, and it's like about their process. I heard it's an amazing documentary.
See, we have a mutual
I need
friend
to-
that even told me that they said that the one thing they like the most about you is that you're all about the work.
Someone told you that about me?
Yeah, they said they respected that the most about you because you're all about the work.
Who's a friend? You can't.
I'll tell you later.
Tell me later. I like compliments, bro. They still feel good.
Of
But it
course.
is about the work because, well, comedy especially. Comedy's the most boxing shit of all time, bro.
Oh my God.
I've trained in Ramada Inn basements for tourists that barely speak English, and everybody here that's back there, everyone who works at the Comedy Store, this place. It's on fire right now as far as like it's packed, making money, going crazy. But I swear to you, there was a time where I literally was doing shows in the belly room by myself to myself just to get the words out of my mouth. I was looking in the mirror of the belly room delivering my jokes because this place was empty. It was like ghosted out until this like last few years when like the revolution of the Comedy Store.
No, but you're right. The last month here has been insane. With
Insanity.
performers, like drop-ins.
Yeah, no, it's cool because you get to see a very high level of talent. You know what I mean? The Rogans and the Chappelles and the Attels and
awesome.
the
That
Rocks.
Chappelle show you took me to was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh
You're
my
lucky,
God,
bro.
he's one of my favorites. You are lucky. Dave is lucky. I was actually telling Dave that recently. I told Dave that when I met him. I know you realize it, but Dave is a lucky guy. You know how you come across people sometimes that they get it, but they also deserve it.
Yeah.
You know, and they have like this, because it's just who you are. You kind of engulf this positive energy about you that people really, I think, love, and it allows others to come into your space and take you in, and that's huge, man. Don't ever stop being who you are, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a really good thing.
Yeah, I
man.
told you that yesterday or 2 days ago when you were complaining and going crazy about some weird shit. I was like, Dave, just be you 100%. You're good, bro.
Yeah.
We got you. I like Dave. He's non-threatening. I like non-threatening people
Yeah.
around. Always
Yeah.
positive. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
smart. You know what I mean?
And he's fun to hang out with too.
We're gonna get you laid in the next 2 weeks. You know what I mean? I don't care if we gotta raise money for it and pay for it. Something's gonna happen. I'll send you to a massage.
I mean, he's
parlor.
on Instagram with a bunch of hotties all
You know
the
what I
time.
mean? I'm gonna be your Cyrano de Bergerac. I'll start talking for you from behind. We'll get going.
But that Chappelle show was amazing. He talked for a long time.
Oh yeah, Chappelle went till
That was great.
2:15 from midnight to like 2:50.
I
No,
love it.
10:30 till like 2 in the morning.
He's got so much to say.
He does, man. Dave Chappelle goes on Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore of comedy, and then we'll go back and talk Mount Rushmore of boxing. But Chappelle, here's my Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
Richard Pryor, king. Robin Williams, Richard Pryor, Robin Williams,
God.
Chris Rock,
Yeah.
Chappelle.
Oh,
Maybe George Carlin is that.
Oh.
Like maybe that's the Rushmore because they all serve a different, like they all kind of have a different style. And let's put Eddie Murphy because he left it when he was on top. But there's an argument to be made for Eddie on there and for Steve Martin, believe it or not. Steve Martin was selling out
he
arenas.
was hilarious.
And he's a genius. But Pryor to me was the comedy god.
He was the comedy god, and Carlin was up there too. And sadly enough, see, because your Rushmore is very similar to my Rushmore.
Yeah.
I am, if not probably the biggest Louis C.K. fan.
Oh yeah,
and,
Louis a big.
and Louis was my ultimate favorite. I mean, still at heart. Look, everything that's happened with Louis. I mean, I hate to say any touchy things, but I love Louis.
Yeah.
And people make mistakes out there. And there was just something so honest about what that man used to say all the time, and you could see it translate into his shows that he wrote, which his FX show Louis was
incredible.
so
Love
well
Louis.
done. So well done. It was dark and funny and real. And I'm sorry that, whoever he hurt out there and whoever he, made uncomfortable, but give Louis another chance. Yeah. Louis is one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, I don't believe you should shut a man's entire. Listen, if he raped and he killed and he did some real extra foul, you shut him down. You're done. No matter what you do on stage, you're done. But everything I've read, he did some foul ass shit.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to me to where you cut a man's livelihood and cut off his ability to earn a living for life. You know what I mean? Like, no.
Luckily
Louis,
for him, he made
just
a lot.
needs help.
Yeah.
He just needs help. He's just twisted. He's like, whereas these guys become bullies because they didn't get a hug. Who knows, bro? Maybe Louis got too many hugs from the wrong people. Bro.
Well, that too.
I don't know what happened.
And Louis got 2 little girls.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like what I feel bad about for him is that, he's got to explain that to them.
Yeah. And
I'm sure he has.
But that also goes to the point of like, people out there, do yourself a favor. Don't make actors and comedians and athletes and people that are famous, don't make them your heroes. You're going to be way disappointed. Mm-hmm. Don't make them your heroes. Let your dad be a hero. Let your fireman be a hero. Let someone you just met randomly who's a plumber with great advice, let that be. These motherfuckers they're not heroes.
Yeah.
They just do a job of entertaining and playing sports and doing things. And if they're great people, that's just added beautiful. That's just great. But don't make them your hero before you ever meet them or hear them, because you'll be lost. And I know I was already lucky because my dad was my hero and he was already in the house by the way he lived his life. But people that go out there and they're like, this guy was my hero, you're an idiot. You're an idiot if you're making someone because of their job your hero, unless they're saving lives or, you know what I mean? Don't make someone who like plays a character for a living or somebody who dunks a ball or skates down the ice. Don't make them your hero. Believe me, I could tell you stories that'll ruin your whole image of everybody you ever, you know what I mean? They're not heroes. They're just great at their job. So respect the work ethic, respect them as a great at their craft. But don't say you want to be like so-and-so.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
Look, you should never say, I'm not trying to tell anyone what to do here, but you should never say you want to be like anybody else. It's great to want to emulate someone or live up to a certain standard, but we're all so individual and unique. We all have something so specific and to offer, and that we're so special in our own ways through the experience life has given us and our talents. Want to be yourself. Strive to be a better you.
The best you. Boxing, once again, be the best you. You know what I mean? You don't take a guy like Tommy Hearns with the greatest right hand and try to make him only a jabber.
No.
You know what I mean? You got to take all your... And that, by the way, that is a great boxing analogy, because in boxing, and I used to, when I first moved to LA, I taught boxing because it was like one of the only skills I had as a human.
Yeah.
But I taught it, and like, rich people in LA, they'll pay $70.
I train people now. I have 2 clients, but
it's great.
I've been with them 2 months, never even let them throw a punch yet. You know what we're working on first? Footwork. All foundation.
Yeah.
Knowing the ground.
Yeah.
Know the earth that you stand on.
Yeah, it's beautiful. When you start getting your feet involved, which you have to do right away, it's like the best, because we can go there all day.
Where does the punch come from?
Exactly. Feel those feet. Feel the feet. Like I know when I roll on my back right before I turn
that's
it.
why I think I'd probably be pretty fast to fall.
It's balance.
Because you have bad feet?
Because I got that longboard skateboard that helped my balance because you got to lean both ways, and so I think I could hold my own. But I think
I think that's just what I love about boxing so much, is that you can use so many analogies that come from life itself to boxing. I mean, like a few moments ago, I called boxing the dance of life.
Yeah.
The lesson of life. It's the craft of life, really, if you will. It teaches you everything about actual human life.
Did you get a chance to see Deontay Wilder fight Ortiz last week?
No, I wanted to, but I was doing something
What
at the time.
a fight!
Was that a good one?
It started off boring as can be, but there was just it's exactly what we talk about. The tides turned twice.
Yeah.
And Deontay came back and took him out and knocked him out in like a real awkward way. But Ortiz had him hurt and finished, but he got saved by the bell.
Oh.
So it was one of those. But it's funny because boxing's evolved now to a point where I'm not really happy with boxing because I come from a different era of amazement. Like I saw Holyfield Bowe trilogy. 2 heavyweight warriors going toe to toe, trading blow for blow.
Yeah.
And like nowadays, you got like a dude, and Deontay Wilder's dope. He's a great athlete, world class athlete. And now you call him he's a world class boxer. He's the champion of the world. But it's interesting to me that like you could tell he didn't get the foundation of boxing like a Holyfield coming from the Olympics and having hundreds of fights in the amateurs, or a Muhammad Ali, or even or Riddick Bowe. He's done. You can see that he's more of like a superstar athlete turned boxer.
Yeah.
Than a boxer.
I saw Chuck Liddell the other day.
Dave.
You saw Chuck, huh?
You are the king of randomness.
Yeah, he's
not a
super
boxer, but he is a UFC badass,
UFC
and I've met him
legend.
too. Oh, this is my brother. Let me just answer let's keep talking, but I just want to make sure everything's okay because my brother was with my mom. I just want to make sure they're good.
For sure.
Hello?
Yo.
What up?
Yo, I talked to Paul.
I'm at my podcast. Is everything all right?
Are you on the air?
I'm on the air.
Oh, don't
No,
put this.
no, I won't. So I'll call you when I'm done. But is everything cool?
Yeah, everything's cool. One thing had nothing to do with the other.
That's what I figured. Okay, I'll call you back.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Brother Young. I remember listening to the episode you had with your brother on there. He seems like a really cool guy. You guys seem like very different but similar in a lot of ways.
We
too.
are completely different but similar. That's you caught that.
I could tell you guys are tight. You know what I mean? Like you guys sit down and have family dinners. Mom's throwing jabs. You're throwing jabs. Brother's throwing jabs. I love that, man. That's the real stuff.
My brother is more of a Mike Tyson style fighter. So my brother boxed too, but not as much as I did. But my brother's one of those freaks of nature who was born stronger than everybody, who walked on a Division I football team after training for a week because he was just a crazy athlete.
Man.
He was actually a crazy, amazing baseball player that could have gone
Wow.
pro if he stuck to it, but he was a discipline problem. But he's... my uncles were like, yeah, Mike, you look pretty good, but if your brother wanted to turn pro, we would turn him pro right now. Like, he's a beast. He's got that next level shit. And it's how he is in life. He's, you know what I mean? The sweetest guy. Everyone who meets him is like, God, your brother's like the nicest guy. I'm
dude,
like,
yeah.
you can be the nicest guy when you can kill everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you can, that's like that's the humble thing. That's like, you meet professional boxers. Tommy Hearns is one of the sweetest, most soft. By the way, for some reason, Connolly doesn't believe that I know Tommy Hearns. It's like a ridiculous
Really?
thing. And every time I talk about it, he's like, Young, you're telling me that if I went up to Tommy Hearns and I said, I know Mike Young, what would he say? He would say, tell his mom I said hi. I've known Tommy. I went to high school with his
awesome.
brothers. I know Hearns. But my point is that Tommy, when he meets you, he shakes your hand soft.
Yeah.
How's it going, Michael? How you doing? Everything? How's your mom?
Yeah,
Everything
wow.
good? You know what I mean? Soft as can be. But
Yeah.
it's because he has been in the wars of the world and will take your head off of your shoulders with one dangerous snapping right hand.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Emmanuel turned it into a dangerous right hand because he told me when Tommy Hearns came in to first start boxing, Tommy was just lanky, 6'2", 147, but he didn't know how to throw that right hand. He had his jab and his legs where his balance wasn't great, and Emmanuel saw the potential in turning this thing into a whip, and he just refined it until you saw what he did for the rest. If you want to pull up Hearns versus Duran and watch Roberto Duran get his shit
pummeled.
knocked
I
out.
love the Hagler Hearns because
Best 3 rounds of boxing. I wrote something about it recently.
the way he lit Hagler was such again talking about cinder block for a head.
Cinder block.
Hagler, right?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Best head in boxing.
And Tommy Hearns was just devastatingly crushing his hand over Hagler's head, just pummeling this guy. I mean, his face was polyped. You know, that was one of the best fights I've ever seen, besides some of the Ali fights and the Gotti Ward #1 fight, which I was going to say on top of my top favorite fighter will always be, not just because as a boxer, but as a person, is Muhammad Ali. My second would have to be, I mean, there's so many, it's hard to even say this,
What about Sugar Ray?
but my second favorite would have to be, because of his heart, would be Arturo Gatti. I liked Arturo Gatti a lot because he was like sort of the epitome of what a fighter actually is.
Oh yeah, he lived his life like a fighter, man.
And he got beat up a lot, but the guy always stood right in front of you and crushed you to the body, crushed you to the head, made you pay. You'd split his eyeball open. His freaking eyebrow would be hanging off, but he'd sit right in front of you.
Straight warrior and filled with demons, as we know, because if you follow his career in life, and he died tragically. But Gotti as a fighter was he was the epitome of a warrior.
Yes.
And it's funny, if you've ever had your bell rung or you've ever been close to being knocked out, there's like this little moment where you still have your wits about you.
Yeah.
And it's this really crazy feeling, and I just know it because I felt it before. But there's like this little piece of you that's still got like war in you, like that can, and it's almost like you're comfortably out on your feet.
Yeah.
And you're just not gonna let yourself fall, so you're gonna go to war. It's the craziest. It's the craziest thing that happens to the human survival.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been beat up before. Mm-hmm. You know, and I don't want to get into that because that's just a dark chapter, but I've felt what it is to be knocked out on your feet before, and to still come back throwing and to ping pong it back and to get your lifeblood back.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a bunch of incredible fights like that. To me, that Holyfield-Bo trilogy.
It's
those
ridiculous.
Were two giant men teeing off on each other at the highest athletic level, and every fight one was in trouble.
Did Holyfield get enough credit or what?
For a long time, I think Holyfield did not get the credit he deserved because Holyfield was fighting at 190 pounds as a heavyweight a lot of times. He was a small heavyweight.
Cruiserweight first. He was a he was a cruiserweight first, and then stepped into the 220 pound area. Well, anything over 200 pounds in boxing is heavyweight, but he stepped in. He fought at cruiser for a little while. In the late 80s and early 90s until he started.
He fought light heavy.
Didn't Tyson
light heavy.
Didn't Tyson dodge him for 12 years? Like from the 84 Olympics on?
Tyson, I was at the fight where he bit his ear off. Me and my brother were at that fight.
Did you see the commercial recently where Tyson walks up to Holyfield's door? He opens the door and Tyson's like, "Sorry, Vanza, here's your ear." And they hug it out.
No, I didn't see that.
And then he looks at the camera. He looks at the camera because it's over the shoulder of Holyfield looking at Mike, right? And then it cuts to Holyfield and he's like, "The fuck?" He looks at Mike and he's the ear. And then they go in and they have a hug and Mike looks at the camera and he's like,
"That's a real commercial?"
It's a commercial. Yeah, what the fuck was it even for?
I never saw it. It's probably Super Bowl, I'm guessing.
No, it was a commercial. It was a legitimate commercial, like some kind of I don't know, insurance thing or something.
I read the book Fire and Fear written by Jose Torres about Mike Tyson's life. And you talk about somebody who didn't have his childhood was so messed up that he's lucky to be alive. You see what he went through, not only was he born broke, poor, no mother, his mom was around for a minute, no father, you know what I mean? Just like bullied beyond belief, was way fat and big for his age, so everybody picked on him, had a high voice. He was coming out like a demon. And you read his story about his life, and luckily he had some freak athleticism and some freak strength, and he was actually able to turn it into something. But I mean, Mike Tyson, bro, he was he was a stick-up kid, straight up. He was pulling out guns, shooting them into fucking crowds of dudes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He knew his boy had a beef at a high school. He went up to the school, started firing, didn't know who he shot, ran away.
Oh, man.
Like, there's a scene in there, and he also had a little twisted mentality. So, like, you know, kids play doctor with, like, things, and he's not Mike Tyson. His brother was sleeping, and Tyson played doctor with his brother and cut his brother while he was sleeping.
Oh, my God.
Like, cut his arm. Like, cut his hand arm with a knife.
That's crazy.
Like, he was on some next level wild shit. And Mike Tyson, to me, he's one of the greatest characters in boxing and life history.
Yeah.
Because here's somebody that, talk about didn't have a shot in hell, had the one father figure who was finally going to make him feel whole as a human being, who took him and was able to give him a skill set that gave him a chance to travel the world and make a living. But his
name
demons
again?
were so Customato.
Yeah, he lived with them in the Catskills.
Yeah, and Customato saved it. But to me, Tyson is, and I've met Tyson before. I met him one time in Vegas, and it was a very interesting move because I'm scared of Tyson, like just being around him. I know like he does business with people, he has meetings, he's a human being. But like his energy was so powerful when you're around him. He's the biggest 5'11" human.
Yeah.
I think giving us a signal to wrap up.
I don't think so, no.
No, okay.
They're talking to each other.
Okay.
Hey, how are you?
He's the biggest 5'11" human being you've ever seen. His head is this big, his neck is this big.
Yeah.
And he's just a monster. But I met him in a hotel lobby, and he was coming down the lobby hallway. And I was with my brother. We were there to see Michael Nunn fight, the middleweight, Michael Nunn, second to none, who was amazing. And that's actually who James Toney took the title from to win the championship. But we're in the lobby of the hotel, and here comes Tyson. I'm so excited. I'm like, I gotta meet Mike Tyson. And I go to me. I'm like, yo, Mike, like Mike. And he like takes his hand and he smacks me on the chest, like, bam, like, how you doing? And I remember my exact thought is, if he wanted to right now, he could just slap me to sleep, and he feels like he might.
Yeah.
And he was drunk, and he was messed up, and he was in the lobby, and Michael Dokes, the old heavyweight, who was his era before, but still had like maybe a fight left in him, walks by Tyson, and Tyson goes, "What's up? What's up? You want to do this right now? Let's do this right now. I'll fucking take your head off right now." And he starts a fight in the lobby of Caesar's Palace.
Oh, yeah.
Literally,
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He starts a fight right in the lobby, and it's like everybody in both camps are gigantic, skilled fighters. Like dudes that will just knock you out in and out of prison for years.
Oh, yeah.
It was a dangerous moment. But after that, I was so excited that I met Tyson. I was like up in my room like a child, jumping up and down on the bed. Literally like, Tyson, I met Tyson.
Oh, it's
but he's, it's tough. I don't know if we put Tyson. I don't know if you put Tyson in your top 10 of all time.
You have to.
I feel like you have to. Even though I don't love
some of the choices, obviously.
I don't love that, his first 20 fights arguably could have been, they were kind of padded. They were dudes that he was going to take out anyway. But once he got to the level, because I even noticed when he fought Tony Tucker out of Detroit for the first time, who was like a real contender and a world champion on his own. I noticed that when Tyson fought a dude who wasn't afraid of him and was tall with strength, he had a tougher time. But I think Tyson, if he wouldn't have got off track, he goes on the Mount Rushmore for sure. I'm gonna put him on Mount Rushmore anyway, just because he's Mike Tyson and he's
got to be up there.
He's just a world class, just artist. Tyson's a good actor.
He is actually. I'm
not kidding.
I've met
him in
Mike.
The Hangover, and he's got a cartoon that's on Adult Swim.
Adult
That's amazing.
Swim. Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, Mike Tyson, and I'm like, I have like a weird philosophy, and it's like, to me, somebody that provided billions of people with that type of entertainment by putting his life on the line, there should be a GoFundMe that doesn't let him be broke. Like Mike Tyson should never be broke, in my opinion, because they used him so badly. Like Don King, man,
boxing does that.
Don King used Tyson just used him up and spit him out. And Tyson made a lot of money and lost it a lot that he messed up on his own. Yeah. But if you know anything about the history of boxing, it's almost like it's weird because like boxers get used in their world kind of like how a writer would get used in Hollywood. Like a writer's looked at like as the lowest form and gets told what to do. Unfortunately, a boxer in their world, a lot of times they're like beholden to like what the promoter tells them to do. And yes, there should be somebody in that boxing world to teach them how to manage their money because a lot of them just don't know what the hell's going on. And Tyson had $300 million and it was gone, which is almost impossible to do.
Think about it; they're punchy. I mean, you're getting your brains bashed in for a living. You're gonna have
tigers and stuff all over his yard. So he's like buying tigers.
It wasn't about the tigers though.
Well, here's the thing people forget about athletes. Athletes, they come in so young, right? Like I love using NFL players in this example, right? They come in so young. They're not even 20 years old yet. You're throwing fucking millions of dollars at them. They're really good at what they do. Were you smart at 20? I know I wasn't.
Hell no.
I was a fucking moron at 20.
At
you know,
20, I was getting into bar fights underage in college.
right?
I think I was 20 in
If
college.
someone threw $1 million, let alone $300 million at me at the time I was 20 years old, I probably would have pissed it all down the drain too. Or who knows? I might even be dead. I don't know. My point is that these athletes come in so early on, you know, and from sports like football or boxing, where you're trained to kill.
Yeah.
You're just like just kill everything I want right now. And then it's almost like the veteran that comes back from war.
Yeah.
They get home and they've just bullets flying over, shells coming in, their best friend dying in front of them, blowing up, dick and balls blowing off. And then you get back to the United States, back in your small town neighborhood, and you're bored because you're hyped up on all this stuff. It's like you don't know where to find that adrenaline rush from. So these guys, they get out of the sport. They have some off season. They're in between fights. They're in between a football game, whatever it is, and they're trained killers. They're trained devastators, and they make these choices. They make mistakes. They're humans too. You know.
I mean, that's another discussion because you want to talk brain damage, and I think it's real because I've seen it even on people. Obviously, I've seen it in boxers for years, the brain damage, but the football players and the hockey players with the CTE, it's deadly. It's so
horrible.
real.
Yeah.
And if anyone thinks it's not real, like the guy at the NHL was trying to say, I know I have a friend, hockey player, concussed, personality completely changed, turned angry, family broken up over it. Like, your brain is not supposed to be bashed in or knocked around. They're even starting to find things where, like, joggers, long distance runners who are rattling their brains are starting to show little effects. Like, the brain is precious and shouldn't be rattled and knocked and banged.
No.
So
Now, that being said, some people take a better punch than others. Some people, one punch, your brain's done.
Yeah.
Some people, take 100 punches, and Sugar Ray Leonard can still talk clearly and, articulately.
Right.
Tommy Hearns took the same punches. He's having a hard time talking.
Yeah.
It's all depends on the individual.
James Toney too.
Yeah, James is mumbling at this point
Yeah.
for sure.
So do you think the NFL is going to last or what?
I don't know, bro. I think the NFL is on its they seem like there could be no NFL in 10 years.
Maybe.
I don't know. It sounds like a crazy thing to say, but it's like even the linemen that use smack someone in the head to get by them, that smack is a heavyweight blow. And you can
Huge.
pad the helmet all you want, but you're
you
still
still-
taking a blow.
The impact.
I've been
Like
blasted
the
100.
measurements is like when they go full speed and hit you. It's
Yeah.
like being
In a car
same
crash.
Thing, yeah, same thing as being in a car crash.
Look,
Yeah,
I played
it's
football.
terrible.
I played football for 9 years of my life, and I don't know if you can see this on the cameras. That's not only from boxing too, but I've got some crooked fingers and messed up knees and shoulder. And I wasn't the biggest guy. I was big for when I first started playing pee-wees and all that, and then when I got to high school, freshman sophomore year, dudes were already men. We had a 6'8", 16-year-old on our team that weighed 315 pounds.
Yeah, freak of nature.
And you're supposed to go hit that guy in practice and do drills with him. And look, I'll be on. Here's a moment of clarity for all of you football fans, because I'm a huge football fan, 49ers till the day I die. When you go into whether it's a drill or the first hit of the game, just to put it in perspective, every single guy who makes contact with another guy, you instantly, it's like when you get punched, you know how you see that white flash and those little hazy stars around the outside of your vision? Yeah. That's the first hit of the game in a football game. And then you have to play the rest of the game with that concussive migraine that you now have.
Yeah.
And every time you just play through it, but it's horrible. And every time you go up to touch someone else, it taps you. Even when they come and smack you on the head like good job type of thing, it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And
I always think about that. Guys, there's a lot of celebration injuries.
Yeah.
No one ever talks about the celebration injury.
I
Yeah.
got one for you. Martin Gramatica of the Tampa Bay Bucks. He made a field goal, and they were like a week before the Super Bowl.
He hurt himself.
He goes jumping up, throws like one leg in there, goes like this, fucking tears his ACL the week before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There you go.
I remember
Just celebrating.
that. Yeah.
Fellas, quit celebrating so extensively. Calm down your celebration. Everybody just celebrate on the inside. Be humble.
Yeah.
So
Like
let's-
Barry Sanders. Remember him?
Remember him. I'm from Detroit.
He was
You
my
kidding?
favorite running back of all time.
Greatest.
That dude used to run into the end zone, and no touchdown dance from this guy, right? He'd just hold the ball and jog off the field.
Barry doesn't
wanted,
dance.
He wanted none of that.
No
Barry
dancing.
dances in action.
That's
Barry
it.
dances circles around you.
You know, my boys played with Barry Sanders, and they were like, he was the most difficult person to ever tackle ever.
You can't touch him.
He would come to practice, and he had like a small head, and the helmet was always like too big for him. But he didn't care. He was like so good. He wasn't like into style. He was like, I'm just gonna make you miss every second.
Yeah.
I'm the greatest 10-yard running back of all time.
Arguably, in my opinion, there is no argument. Best running back of all time in the game of football.
I agree. So all right, we're gonna wrap up in a minute, but I want to go Mount Rushmore boxing. Muhammad Ali could have his own podcast. We could talk about him the entire time.
Yeah.
I've been to me, Ali represented everything about a boxer, a fighter, an athlete. You know what I mean? He was the smartest. He was the most athletic. He was the fastest at his weight. He had a rhythm and a jazz he was a jazz musician
in the
ring, in his brain. If you were coming straight at him, he figured out how to go side to side.
Great comparison.
You know what I mean? If you wanna come at him with your, if you're gonna just jab him, boom, he's gonna just move to the right, and figure out. He's gonna dance. Greatest dancer
of all time.
I mean, just
best jabber.
He was just the most fun to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His jab was incredible.
Tyson would go,
Yeah, I mean, he put speed and power, and that was the best combination. It was the perfect combination, and he just figured you out. But above all, he was the smartest fighter to me.
Oh, what turned me on about Muhammad Ali? I was a little boy, in this time where I was getting bullied, and my papa, God rest his soul, he's dead now. It was his favorite boxer. Muhammad was his favorite boxer, and he used to make me sit down and watch his old fights, his fights coming up in the 80s when I was just a boy. I was born in 83, so yeah, I was really, really young when I started watching boxing. When I got older is where I really understood and started to respect Muhammad Ali, not just as a fighter, but as a character in life, because look at the time he lived in. Segregation, racism, every odd against this man, the Vietnam War. And what really made him stand aside from everyone else, not just in boxing, but in the world at the time on the platform that he had, was that he decided to make a choice. In the hardest time to make that choice as a black man, he said, I'm going to go against the odds. I'm going to stay true to myself. I'm going to stand up for what I believe in, not what you believe in. I'll support that, but I believe this, and I'm not going to be threatened or intimidated or disregarded from that.
Right.
And Muhammad Ali, his conviction was in every one of his punches. And what I loved about him was how much smack he would talk, and it was all a show. He made boxing fun to watch. He made boxing entertainment. When that man spoke, you listened. Even his opponents, they hated him at the time. They listened to him. And afterwards, even like Joe Frazier, yeah, and I'm sure he's had discrepancies with a couple of his guys, but you couldn't not respect them. And he was friends with them. He'd help them out on the side. They were friends. They were family.
Ali was the greatest on every level. You know what I mean? I wish I had half the conviction on half the shit I do. Like if you put that conviction into you, like
yeah.
I think about it, it'd be like I'd walk out of half the meetings that I'm in. You know what I mean? I would.
That's a role model.
Yeah.
That's a role model.
Yeah.
That's
Muhammad
somebody
Ali for sure.
Like Mike, you were saying earlier. Don't idolize someone. Don't want to be someone. If you're gonna idolize anybody and learn something from, at least look at Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, dude stood for something and stood for everything and never wavered on it. He's the most fascinating character. He was on another plane, another level. You know what I mean? He operated on another planet. I met Muhammad Ali. I actually forgot to
Lucky.
just this second.
Lucky.
I have a picture of me and Ali.
You're lucky.
When they did the Ali movie, my friend was working on the movie. She said, you got to come to the gym.
Oh.
Ali's working out. On
Oh
my
my
life,
God.
I go there, and I meet Muhammad Ali, and he takes my hand. And he puts it on his chin like this. And so the picture is like, and I would never touch Muhammad Ali's face. Are you
God,
kidding me?
that's awesome.
But he put it on here. So the picture is like this. It's like, I'm like trying not to be on his face, and it's just like this, and it's this picture. But he was, Parkinson's had set in heavily. He had a very tough time talking, but he still on the inside, man, was like a freaking angel, man.
Yeah.
And he was like, he goes, you want to see me? He goes, you want to see me levitate?
Oh my God.
He says it in my
It gives
ear.
me
He goes,
chills
He goes,
hearing
you want
that.
to see me levitate? I was like, yeah, I want to see you levitate. And you know, he's just the class clown genius, and he just goes up on his toes like this. He's just like, whoop,
Yeah.
I levitated.
Yeah.
And that was it. And he was hitting the bag smooth and hitting the speed bag.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, by the way, they've actually found that boxing helps with brain injuries. Not getting punched, but throwing punches on the bag works both sides of the brain. They've actually had like Parkinson's people and like people with Alzheimer's. They've actually had them on the heavy bags and like you know working through stuff.
Before.
Yeah,
That's really something.
Yeah, they're finding out that just the work, you know, throwing lefts and rights gets the right and left brain kind of coexisting and working in, you know, in unison. But you know, I mean, boxing, it's part of the fabric of my life. Like I talked to my brother in Vegas. He's like, why don't you join an over 40 boxing league? And I'm actually like looking into like, how do I get into boxing? Because I really don't want to get punched. I'll wear headgear, and I got my headgear at home, you know. And the last time I actually sparred was in a gym in LA, and it was like this meathead karate type dude who was kind of like a bully in the gym. And I wasn't even looking to spar, but I was on the heavy bag, and he's like, yo, you want to spar?
Jesus.
I was like, nah, not
He
really.
just called you out?
Called me out, and I was like, nah, not really. And I was in the gym where like Scott Conn trains and some other actor dudes, like the dude from CSI.
Interesting.
Real good-looking black guy. I forgot his name. Shamar Moore.
Oh, yeah.
He's in there boxing, you know, and this like
Yeah.
one karate guy calls me out. And I'm just like hitting the heavy bag. I'm like, no, I'm good, bro. And he's like, come on, bro. What are you scared? Come on, like, let's get in there. We'll just move. I'll take it easy on you. Something to that effect. He wasn't like, and he was like more karate than I.
Yeah.
He came in a gi sometimes.
Jesus
and so I was like,
Christ.
this guy's
Oh
all
my
right.
God.
I'm going in. And so, boom, I put a little Vaseline on my cheeks and my nose and put my headgear on, just chill. Got a cup, put the cup on, threw my shorts back over the. Oh no, didn't you had the cup over my shorts? My boy Steve, who was a trainer there, who trained Shamar and trained Scott Conn. Boom, we start moving around, and of course, this dude gets aggressive. Like I'm thinking we're just gonna go half speed, move around. Whatever, we circle. He comes hard at me, throwing punches. In my mind, I'm like, okay, you want to go hard at me, now I'm going to go hard at you.
I'm gonna sit down
I thought
on
we
him.
were just
Yeah.
boom. And bam, one step to the right, dropped a right anchor on him, dropped him. He dropped to his knees, literally out. He was out, but like he didn't crumble to the ground. He went it was the weirdest looking thing because he just like went two hands up like this. He was like,
This guy sounds like the guy that Deontay Wilder whooped on the
that
internet.
kid.
That fucking idiot that wanted to challenge everyone in the gym.
That's funny. I was thinking about that kid the other day. Like, how has nobody just killed that kid? But
He
I
just-
guess he's just
I
an
don't
internet
know.
troll who challenges everyone to boxing. I forgot his name.
And then he'd jump out of the ring when he had enough, and they'd be like, "Where are you going?"
By the way, thank God Deontay Wilder didn't connect with him when he swung on him when the kid was on the ground, because the kid had like
He would have died.
He would have died. He would have
Yeah.
punched his nose through his bones and
Yeah,
his brain.
Deontay is a big, lanky,
Yeah.
athletic beast,
Yeah, no, he's a beast.
and he is
But-
one of the best heavyweight boxers on the line right now.
Yeah, no, I love to. Sometimes I'll just go and I'll watch old Sugar Ray Robinson fights. Like
Yeah.
I'll go pull up old classic boxing, and you know, it could go on forever. But like even like the Julio Cesar Chavez days, you know,
That Mexican style, man.
Cesar Chavez
so
versus
good.
Meldrick Taylor.
Yeah.
When I boxed in college, it was in Tucson, Arizona. It was all Mexican. So me and my brother were like the only two white boys down in the Mexican gym.
Would you say you have more of a Mexican?
No, I do not have a Mexican come at you style.
No?
No, I had more of a Tommy Hearns pattern. Like I would just
Oh,
jab,
you're
jab,
slick.
right
You're a
hand,
slickster.
slick,
Yeah.
slick.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'd figure out. I'd play games
play
of tag
the
with
game.
you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always looked at boxing. I always kept in my head like this is a game of tag.
It's
you
a mental
let
game.
me just like let me fake you out, catch you, get you staggered a little bit, then try to come
yeah.
with the hammer. So I was not. My brother's more Mike Tyson, Chavez, come at you, take 5 punches to start mixing it up. I don't like getting hit. I always said like I am the sensitive son of a tough family.
Yeah.
My uncles were tough. You know what I mean? All my uncles were tough. Even my uncles that weren't boxers. You know, my grandfather owned like a strip club type of place in Detroit called the Purple Pussycat. You know what I mean? Everybody had a pistol.
Yeah.
You know, I come from a rough background of Jewish people. You know what I mean? They're not like the Jews or this, a lawyer, doctor, a dentist.
That's my town.
No, they became lawyers. I got lawyers in the family. Trust me. But like, We also got lawyers in the family that will pull a pistol. Like they're
Yeah.
like the lawyers that like they're tough. I come from a tough family. I didn't like. My uncles would pit me and my cousin like against each other to box when we were like 7 in the living room. Like we were pit bulls. I actually didn't like that. Even though I tried to prove I was tough as a kid, I actually felt uncomfortable like fighting my own cousin.
Well, that's the thing. Can I tell you a quick story about fighting cousins? See, my thing is, as much as I love the sport of boxing, I hate fighting because I'm a lover, man. I love to be around my friends. I love to meet new people, talk about stuff. I'd so much rather be your friend or be like a drinking buddy or like just kick it for a minute than fight you.
Yeah.
One time, it was when I was in a football league in school. And there was this kid that really had it out for me because I took the starting quarterback position over this guy. And my cousin was really good friends with him. So my uncles are playing in an over 40 football league called PAL in Northern California. We're all from San Jose, California.
Oh, I'm playing there next weekend. Send the family.
Are you really?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Go ahead.
And so I'm out shooting hoops on the court because I'm over watching the game. It's like halftime, so I'm by myself on the court shooting some hoops. It was like one of those old, like really gravelly courts that if you fell down, you're getting fucking road rash. And these guys walk out. They walk out onto the court, and I see this guy, and I immediately got these butterflies in my stomach. Like this dude always wanted to whoop my ass. And my cousin's with him. My cousin and I were really close. My cousin's a big, hulky guy as well. And I remember something happened because this dude's all talking. I don't say things, especially when I feel threatened.
Yeah.
I just watch you. And he walked up with this guy, and I just saw his fist clench like that, and lightning fast, left hook over the dude's face, cracked his jaw. He was down. My cousin threw a blow. Following up right after that, slipped it through the right hand, blap, falls down on the ground. I didn't try to go after this dude. He's crying. His nose is bleeding everywhere.
Wait, your cousin threw a blow at you?
After I knocked his friend out. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Threw a blow at me, coming right behind me, following through with the knockout over here. Cousin swings one at me. I slip it, knock him down, bloody nose, eye, everything. I get on top of him to just really finish it. And I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did, but I have a dent in my pinky back here now. But he turned his head as I was coming down because I was so hurt by him that
it's your family.
I was so like, fuck this guy, like the Rocky guy, whatever his name was. But my cousin over here attacked me and stood up for this tool bag as much as he was a tool bag. And here I am by myself, minding my own business on the basketball court, and he's been bullying me for a couple of years. I was like, fuck you. And he already had swung at me, so we were past the point of no return there. And I went down to hit him like this, and he was already fucked up, but he turned his head, and I hit that gravelly asphalt.
And that's how you hurt the pinky.
Well, that's not from breaking the pinky back. This is actually from football.
So
but the injury,
the
injury here, like see how this one's normal there?
Yeah.
The injury there is from a right hand coming down on the pavement. Boom.
Did you guys ever patch it up, you and the cousin?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're actually really close. Today we're not as close as we were in my early 20s, but I love him to death. DJ, if you're listening, I love you, bro.
At least you have a legit reason for having scars on your fists. Because my brother, 1 year in college, thought it was a smart idea to be. They got drunk. They thought it was a smart idea to go around and breaking all the glasses in case of an emergency. And they went around and punched it with their bare fists because they thought it was funny.
How many stitches? Did they end up cutting their hands badly?
Oh yeah, there's blood in the Accord Honda on the way to the hospital, so they had to get stitches.
So we can wrap it up on this, right? Because you said you felt the butterflies and then you handled business. So fear is probably the biggest motivator, and that's why the Mike Tyson book was called Fire and Fear, because Mike Tyson was actually scared every time he fought.
I'm sure.
He was terrified. And if you watch old videos of him in the amateurs, he would be crying, like shaking, crying, terrified. But he was so scared to fight that it turned into, I'm going to kill you before you kill me.
Yes.
And that's kind of like, I always was afraid. Like even when I was getting bullied by the monster back in the day, I would freeze in fear. I had so much.
Me too.
I think I'm a bitch. I'm a puss. I am a. I can say for real. I learned how to box so that I don't get beat up because I don't like getting beat. I'm part bitch. I already know that. So I was like, I'm going to become the best I can be, so I don't get messed with. And it really and it helped, and I'm glad it did. But fear is the motivator for a lot of people, you know. And Mike Tyson, if you read his book, it's fascinating. But he was terrified. And that's why when you see him, he was so inarticulate at times when he got emotional, because he's like, you know, he cries all the time. He's got heavy shit going on in there.
Yeah.
And when he was able to channel it into boxing, he became one of the greatest of all time in the world. But, you know, when the demons got the best of him, his training went downhill. When he was in Japan and when he lost to Buster Douglas and got knocked out February 9th, 1990, he was sleeping with hookers. He was drinking the night before. The demons got to him. He wasn't disciplined anymore. And he still almost took out Buster Douglas in what they think, you know, they think the count was long on Douglas. But, you know, boxing, it is a great metaphor for life. If you're not into boxing, you should just learn how to box a little bit. Mix it up a little bit without getting hurt, without getting hit. Go see what it's like to get punched in the face. You know
What a
I mean?
workout.
And watch how you think you're in shape. I don't care if you run your 10 miles, 8 miles, 6 miles a day.
I've still never
You're
been
not
punched
in
the face.
shape. You're not in shape.
Yeah.
Go try to hit any bag for 5 straight rounds. Go try and sparring is the most to let you know you're not in shape.
Hell, just try this little technique called riding the bike. Take your punching gloves, your boxing gloves, and sit in front of a heavy bag and just move your feet with your hands like this. Try to do that for 1 minute, and then at the last 30 seconds, speed it up as fast as you can while you're pivoting, moving your legs, and watch what that does to your cardio. Try doing 3-minute rounds of that, and then let's talk.
Training tips from Dustin Harnish. We leave you on a training tip. So we're gonna wrap it up, man. I appreciate you being here, bro. Telling stories.
What an honor.
You know what I mean?
I really
come
do.
on.
It was a real treat and pleasure to be
Well, because
here.
you know, look, I don't need guests that are you don't have to be famous to come in the room here. Everybody's got stories that need to be told. And, you know, you coming from where you come from and you lived in your car for a long time and you're grinding it out, and like boxing kind of brought it all together. And, you know, we share a similar story in that bullshit bullying that went on as a kid, and it affects you, and it affects you for life unless you heal that wound. And like, you know, we've all been through it. Everyone's been through something. So like, whatever it takes to let those wounds heal. But, you know, to me, you know, I love boxing, and I love the rhythm of it, the dance of it, the competitive nature of it, and the life lessons that it gives you.
Yep.
And I will be a fan for life. And I'm probably going to go see Canelo fight Triple G for the second time, May 5th.
The cool thing about boxing, which that's going to be a great fight. Cool thing about boxing, I think the most thing that you pull from it, it's not how to be tough. It's not how to be this brawler. Boxing really, if anything, brings you together. Boxing teaches you how to love and have respect for other people, because you never know who you're talking to. No. You never know what's coming next. And you never know that what your repercussions have on somebody else. Boxing teaches you all of that.
Can you believe there's still loudmouth people in the world?
I can't believe that.
It's stunning to me.
It's stunning to me.
They're all over the place.
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
I've actually used techniques, like psychological techniques, to calm myself down, to not want to get into it with somebody. Like in my mind, I'm wishing them love.
Right.
I'm literally saying in my mind, I hope you are okay one day.
See,
Like, I hope you're. I have to say it.
That's all you can do.
I'll just go to jail.
But that's all you can do, Mike. Yeah. And look, it's like we are better and stronger warriors. The strong, humble warrior is that who puts others before himself.
See, that's why people hide behind the internet now with social media.
When someone offends you, when someone says something to you that might tweak your feelings or your beliefs, the best thing you can really do is look at where that comes from. And when it strikes a chord in you and you want to fuck you back to the guy, that's just the devil inside you.
Yeah.
But you're better than that.
Love wins. Love wins.
Always.
Forget the
Just-
work on your shit. Be humble if you're a badass.
Don't hate.
You know what I mean? And don't hate. Don't hate. It's stories that need to be told. We keep it peaceful. We keep it love. All right, yo. Anything you want to talk about? We're gonna exit out of here. We're gonna get out. This has been Mike Young. Great having Dustin Harnish here. Can they follow you? You want some people to follow you on Instagram?
I would love that. Thank you,
Yeah,
Mike.
yeah.
You can check me out on Instagram at Dustin.Harnish, all lowercase. And then Facebook is just Dustin Harnish. There I am.
Dustin.Harnish. Stock Tip Dave, you got any last minute wisdom words? We got you in a meeting today that you didn't go to because you didn't have pants.
That's awesome. But Dave, always be prepared.
Yeah, always be prepared. Always have a change of clothes in your car. Be prepared for any situation.
All right, good.
Yeah, buddy.
Anyway, this is Mike Young. You can check me Instagram at TheRealMikeYoung. Follow me. I'll let you know what's going on with this book situation. And I'm back to the cave. I'm on a 2,000 word a day program. And boxing is life. Get into it. All right. Learn who you are. All right. We're out. Peace. We're out, Mike.